Hi, I'm going to read you the Tomtes Christmas Porridge. In Scandinavian folklore, tomtes are creatures who guard and help a family. Traditionally, a bowl of porridge is left out for the tomtes on Christmas night as a special gift to thank them for their protection. It was Christmas Eve, and snow lay white and silent over the houses. Lights shone brightly from the kitchen and dining room windows. Christmas dinner was nearly ready. Soon the whole family would be together. Papa Tomte and his daughter Polka were in the hayloft, peeking through the holes the woodpeckers had made. They were watching Oscar, the farmhand, who was collecting firewood, being careful not to let his best suit get dirty. "Look, here comes the master," said Polka, bringing all the relatives back from the station. "Soon the children will give the animals in the barn their Christmas dinner, and they will put out my Christmas porridge," said Papa Tomte. "You always go on and on about Christmas porridge, but Mamma's porridge is just as good." "That may be so," said Papa Tomte, "but it's not just about the porridge. It's a sign of respect, to say thank you for our help around the farm. An angry tomte makes his people unhappy, and angry I will be if they do not thank me. You see, my girl, when you have spent a whole year working and—" "Yeah." Polka let out a big yawn, clapped her hand over her mouth and giggled. "One day I will teach you some manners," Papa Tomte sighed. "But that will have to wait, because it's our time for Christmas dinner." "Yippee!" said Polka, "and then we'll see Father Christmas." "Yippee!" said Father Tomte, "and then we will have our porridge." The Tomtes lived in the loft of the hay barn, behind a secret door, and only they could see only they could see. Mamma Tomte was setting at the table, and Big Brother Polka was stirring the Christmas soup, made from all the herbs, berries, and mushrooms they had collected throughout the year. Tomte bread is made from 4 kinds of flour, and they drink special beer, which gets sweeter and weaker for young tomtes, and stronger and richer for older tomtes. So little Pilka, who was 4 years old, could drink as much beer as grandfather, who was 427. While Papa Tomte and Polka told the others what they had seen, Mamma Tomte was worrying like all Mother Tomtes. She knew everything, even things that hadn't happened yet, so she might suddenly say to her husband, "Some burning coal just fell out of the fire. Quick, put it out." Or, "Little Anna is about to fall out of bed. Hurry, put a chair there to stop her." Right now, Mamma Tomte knew that the family would forget to put out a bowl of Christmas porridge for the Tomtes that evening. These days, the people often forgot about the Tomtes. They only remembered Father Christmas, and they didn't understand the difference between the two. It had happened once before, a long time ago. Papa Tomte had been so angry he had made the whole farm miserable for an entire year. And this year they would forget again. Mamma Tomte just knew it. She had to do something. She couldn't bear to see the people so unhappy. "Aren't you going to collect the porridge, Grandmother Tomte?" asked Papa Tomte. "I don't want Christmas porridge," said little Pilka. "It's too early," said Papa Tomte. "Let's have our soup first." But all he could think about was the Christmas porridge. I'll just have a look. You never know." While Papa Tomte was gone, Mamma Tomte took Polka and Polka to one side so that Grandfather wouldn't hear. "You have to help me," she whispered. "But don't tell Papa. The people are going to forget. We have to get the porridge ourselves without Papa knowing, and we have to remind the people that we exist. But no one can see us. Remember that. A tomte who is seen by a person may lose all their power. Listen, this is what we'll do." She explained her plan, and the children nodded seriously. "There's no porridge yet." "What are you whispering about over there?" said Grandfather. But just then Papa Tomte came back. "There's no porridge yet," he said. "But there will be. Don't worry, Grandfather." "Let's have our Christmas dinner," said Mamma Tomte. They all sat down and helped themselves to soup, bread and beer, and told their favourite stories. They were all good at telling stories, especially Grandfather, who told a very long tale about something that happened 150 years ago. But nobody minded. Suddenly Mama Tomte said, "Do you know what I know?" "What?" they all replied. "Father Christmas is here. Let's go and see him." "Yay!" all three Tomte children shouted and ran off. "Wait for us," said Papa Tomte. "What's all the commotion?" "Right in the middle of my story," Grandfather complained. The farm was full of secret doors and passageway that only the Tomtes and mice knew were there. They could get into the house and up on top of the big cupboard in the dining room without being seen. Soon they were there, looking down on the people around the table. The family was drinking coffee, eating dessert and talking. The children were waiting for Father Christmas. The youngest girl, Anna, couldn't keep still. She kept running up to her grandmother asking, "When is Father Christmas coming? Will it be soon?" Pilka was wondering the same thing. She sat on Mama Tomte's lap. They heard someone stomping the snow off his feet outside and knocking on the door. "It's Father Christmas! Come in!" all the children shouted. Through the door came a man with a long white beard and a sack on his back. He had a red coat and cap, just like the Tomtes. "Have you all been good children?" Father Christmas asked in a deep voice. "Any good Tomte would know that without asking," grumbled Papa Tomte, and he and Grandfather shook their heads. Father Christmas sat down, opened his sack, and handed out the presents. The Tomtes watched and tried to guess whether the children were pleased with their presents or not. This was one of their favourite games. Soon they said goodbye to Father Christmas, and the party continued. The people danced and played games. The children, with their new toys, and Oscar, beat everyone at wrestling. The Tomtes enjoyed the happiness and excitement which lit up the room. They loved watching and listening to people, especially when the people were happy. Eventually the family started to feel tired, and the mistress asked if anyone would like some Christmas porridge. There were always a few who still had room for Christmas porridge. Dessert bowls were placed on the table, and Augusta, the cook, brought out a big steaming pot of porridge. This was the moment Mama Tomte had been waiting for. She was more certain than ever that they would forget to thank the Tomtes. She even knew that Grandmother would ask Anna if she would like to put some porridge out, and little Anna would say, under no circumstances could Papa would say no. Under no circumstances could Papa Tomte hear this. "Papa dear," said Mama Tomte, "one of the sheep is trapped in the barn. Please go and set her free." "But they're about to serve my porridge." "Quick, she's in pain," said Mama Tomte, "and mend the sheep pen while you're there. You should have done it years ago." Papa Tomte sighed and hurried off. Grandfather and Pilka had fallen asleep, which was just as well. "Now, children," said Mama Tomte, "we have to hurry. Do as we agreed, and never tell your father about this." Mama Tomte and Polka rushed downstairs and hid under a bench in the dining room. Polka ran into a secret passageway that led inside the grandfather's clock. Just as the master began to serve the porridge, Polka turned the cogs as hard as she could, and the clock struck 11. "What's that?" said the master. "It's only struck 10 minutes ago." He looked at the grandfather clock and then his watch. Everyone turned to see the big hand moving much too quickly around the clock face. "What's the meaning of this?" said the master again. He walked slowly to the clock. The room was silent. As the clock started to rattle and click and strike 12, Mama Tomte and Polka scurried out from under the bench. Quick as mice, they climbed up onto the master's chair. As everyone stared at the clock, Mama Tomte jumped onto the table and peeked over the porridge bowl. She passed the porridge down to Polka and then jumped down herself, first onto the chair and then onto the floor, where she took the bowl from Polka, and they picked up the bowl together and hurried away. Nobody had seen them. The clock struck 12. Papa Tomte would be back soon. "That is most extraordinary," the master said with an uncertain smile. He didn't know whether to laugh or to be afraid. "Is this a joke or a ghost?" He opened the clock and checked the pendulum. The Tomtes were almost out of the room when Mama Tomte realised that there was no butter on the porridge. The butter was as important as the porridge itself. They had to go back. "We won't make it," Polka whispered. "Yes, we will. Quickly." Back at the table, the mistress's chair was empty. She was still looking anxiously at the clock. Mamma Tomte climbed up to the chair and onto the table. There was the butter dish. Thank goodness. Without looking round, she took a big scoop of butter and tossed it plop into the porridge bowl on the ground. Then she noticed that Anna was watching her. The little girl had seen everything. Not even a tiny tomte can throw a scoop of butter in front of a 4-year-old without being seen. Their eyes met for a still, silent moment. Then Mamma Tomte leapt off the table and ran out of the room. Slowly, Anna said, "Mamma, there was a tomte here, taking some butter." Then the clock stopped spinning and striking, so everyone sat down to eat their Christmas porridge. "What's that, darling?" the mistress asked. "Who's taken my porridge?" said the master. "It was the tomte," said Anna. "I saw a lady tomte throw some butter into the porridge, and there was another tomte, and they ran away with the bowl. Out there." She pointed to the hall. The master looked at his daughter in astonishment. He nodded seriously, but behind his moustache he was smiling. "You forgot to put out the porridge for the tomte," said Grandmother. "You should be glad it was a lady tomte. If it had been a papa tomte, you would have been sorry." The master left the table and opened the front door. Everybody followed. In the snow on the steps was a round print and many tiny footprints leading off into the darkness towards the barn. They all stared at the little footprints as the little footprints were magically covered by snow. Then they went back inside. They would never forget the tomte's Christmas porridge again. Papa Tomte sat in his chair feeling full and happy and smoking his pipe. He was happy because the people were happy with him. They had thanked him for his work by giving him a big bowl of Christmas porridge. Grandfather Tomte and the children were sleeping, and Mamma Tomte looked out of the window towards the house. She wondered if the family would remember to thank them next year, and she wondered if it mattered that Anna had seen her. It was probably all right for small children to see Tomtes, she thought. "What are you thinking about, my dear?" asked Papa Tomte. "Nothing special," she replied. "Just that I like the people who live in our farm." She put her hands on Papa Tomte's shoulders. "And what a good husband I have, who looks after everything the people can't do for themselves." Said Papa Tomte. "I wonder if I'll get as much butter on my porridge next year."